10 famous faces are going on an epic journey.
It's 2015, but not for long.
They're travelling into the past.
This is an historical circus.
With no idea where or when they're headed.
Wow.
Wake up in another place, in another era.
Oh my goodness!
Exciting.
They've been told nothing in advance.
Do you know, I've got absolutely no idea what we're doing.
I mean, I've never had a costume fitting, blindfolded.
So it's all a total surprise.
Oh, wow.
They're leaving the 21st century behind to crash land into 6 different moments in British history.
What are we?
We're early.
1796.
Welcome to 1913.
Oh, wow.
They'll be stripped of their celebrity status,
Oh no, we're servants.
thrust into testing environments,
Where's the food?
It's coming!
I don't shout.
Pulling these things in. It is really hard work.
and thrown to the bottom of the pile.
Shut up and listen instead of arguing!
Can they survive everything history has to throw at them?
Oh, this is bad.
Calm down, Fern.
We'll sunk the boat. Gotta be joking!
That's horrific.
They are the Time Crashers. Last time, the Time Crashers found themselves working on a Georgian model farm.
Oh! Look, he's getting aggressive with it.
While most put their backs into it,
That was good.
Oh no, keep him out of there!
Zoe and Louise struggled.
I just wish I was a boy. I wouldn't play with the animals.
Oh my God! The consistency of them doesn't look very good, does it?
No.
But Chris triumphed.
If there is any of these guys that I'd employ, it would be you.
Georgian era, one of the best days I've had. Definitely in Time Crashers, nearly in my life.
This is the Deben Estuary in Suffolk, once home to one of England's oldest industries. It's raining, 5 degrees centigrade, and the water feels even colder. Perfect conditions for 10 new workers to arrive.
Hello.
Oh, look at us.
There's a very strong smell of them.
yeah.
Smell the smoked fish?
Smoked fish, yeah.
Lovely.
The Time Crashers have no idea where
Oh my God!
Hi, ladies. Oh, my God, look at this.
Okay, guess the year. 1815.
or when they are.
Could smell like kippers.
What are we, fishwives?
I have never looked lovelier.
You bitch, I've never seen you look so glam.
Guys, I think we're going out on a boat.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a slightly wet day today.
It's 1885. Queen Victoria rules a fifth of the world. Britain is the world's most powerful trading nation, and it affects the entire country. Oyster fisheries like this one send their daily catch to towns and cities by steam train. 125 million oysters a year were sold through London's Billingsgate Market. They were the product of hours and hours of grinding physical labour for hundreds of lowly fishermen. And that's where the Time Crashers come in.
Ah!
There's a Time Crashers guide over here.
Actor Charlie Condu lets his fellow Time Crashers know what's in store.
Welcome to 1885. You are all now oystermen.
We're oystermen.
Working alongside Charlie are actor Keith Allen, footballer Jermaine Genus, comedian Chris Ramsey, and Olympic gold medalist Greg Rutherford.
There is a strong sense of pride in your heritage. Generations of your forefathers have worked these shores for centuries.
But by the 1880s, most oyster fisheries were in the hands of private companies. Oystermen had become nothing more than employees.
You must not eat any of the seafood, and that's underlined. It is no longer your catch, it is the company's. Oysters are not for the likes of you.
You are all now the wives of oystermen. Woohoo! Finally, we get to have sex.
Taking charge for the women is breakfast news anchor Louise Minchin.
You need to make sure you and your husband We're going to get a husband each. That's hilarious.
Joining Louise are Hollywood actress Kirstie Alley, broadcaster Fern Britton, champion weightlifter Zoe Smith, and socialite Meg Matthews.
Your husband's work for the man, specifically a London businessman who's invested in oysters. You do not work for the company. You do not earn a wage.
Oh, it's fishwives.
You don't?
We do not earn a wage.
Only the husband.
In the 21st century, women are fighting to have the chance for equal pay. Well, some pay would be nice, but in this era, we're not even getting that.
Denied a company wage, Victorian fishwives had to find other ways to bring in money.
Oystermen's wives sell additional produce on the side to make ends meet.
I bet we do.
I bet we do. When I found out that women didn't get paid in this era, it didn't shock me. I mean, I get food, board, shagging, the things I like. Excuse me, may I say one thing?
Of course.
Oysters are an aphrodisiac.
Kirstie, I don't think you need one.
Good point. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hey, ladies. Our wives.
Hey.
Are you my husband?
Are you happy? Yeah, I've got a good wife, I'm happy.
Running a fishery for rich Victorian investors was the job of the company foreman.
My name is Mr. Barton. I'm your new boss. Today I got an order from London Billingsgate, and they require 400 oysters and 5 bags of mussels. This order has to be completed by 5 o'clock at the very latest. That is the collection time.
Joining me to make sense of life in 1885 is social historian and archaeologist Dr. Cassie Newland.
I find it incredible that in such an isolated place as this, you could get your order to and from London so quickly in the 1880s.
Well, it's not isolated anymore, is it? That's the wonder of the modern age. You've got the railways to get your goods in and out. But beside those tracks, you've got the telegraph lines hung, which means the message from London is instantaneously delivered at your local post office.
Commonly, it was the job of the foreman's wife to take charge of the unpaid oystermen's wives.
I'm Mrs. Barton, and the girls are going to be working with me this morning, and will be working in the shed next door.
The foreman and his wife will be pushing the time crashers hard to try and ensure that they reach the 5 o'clock deadline. If they succeed, then they'll be rewarded as they would have been in 1885. If they fail, they'll receive a fitting punishment.
Right. 2 people need to be collecting seaweed in order to pack with the oysters to send away at the end of the day.
Right, OK.
Champion weightlifter Zoe Smith has struggled in previous eras, but in 1885 she's feeling optimistic.
I would love to do seaweed.
Definitely seaweed.
Zoe's very, very strong.
Yes.
And could bring in huge amounts.
I could bring all the seaweed.
Yeah.
Should I do seaweed? Seaweed, okay.
I think that'd make you happy.
I'll keep her going today. Yeah. I'm going to keep it up, okay?
I am just waiting for the crash where I get my chance to shine, and potentially this could be it. Something where I actually get to go outside and do things and move around. I think that's going to be... This is going to be my crash.
No fuss, ladies, we've got a lot to do.
Wet seaweed was the bubble wrap of the day. It kept the delicate oysters fresh and intact on the journey to Billingsgate. The women, of course, didn't get paid for collecting it.
Shoe number 2.
To reach the seaweed, Zoe and Meg have to cross deep mud banks. To avoid sinking, the Victorians wore wooden shoes called splatchers.
Right, let's do this. Thank you.
Have fun.
I'm sure we will.
What the hell?
They're like the worst flip-flops ever.
Splatchers work like snowshoes, spreading out your weight over the mud surface to stop you sinking.
I'm getting stuck.
Don't get stuck.
Shit.
Don't do that. No. Don't lift your feet up. And where I am, some sea estuary. It's a bit home from home because my dad lives in Norfolk, so I'm not freaked out by this. Right, slide on this bit of green. For me, it's very familiar. So we will keep going, won't we, Zoe? I'm going to lift her morale. I'm going to make her feel part of a team, and we're going to do it together today.
Right, gentlemen. I need 3 of you to pick the mussels, and I need 2 of you to be responsible for the oysters.
Until the 1880s, oysters were the food of the poor. But they became chronically overfished and the price skyrocketed. By 1885, they were a luxury only the wealthy could afford. And the rich didn't care that oysters were becoming hard to find. If an order was short by just 1 oyster, an oysterman's wages were docked and they'd struggle to feed their families. The threat of the workhouse, even starvation, was never far away.
I'll leave it strictly amongst yourselves who does what.
The men need to collect 400 oysters and 5 sacks of mussels. That's around 2,000 of them, all by 5 p.m.
Don't forget the tide. Now's our chance.
Yeah, we've got to get out.
As the day goes on, the tide will drive us back. Time and tide, wait for no man. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Barton.
The mussels need to be raked from the freezing mud at low tide.
We'll rake.
We'll rake?
Us 3 will rake.
Us 3?
Rake.
Right,
You guys are going to rake? Me and Greg will do oysters.
perfect.
My biggest concern about all that is the bending. I mean, when I cut grass at home and I have to rake it up, it kills me. We've got to stop every 20 minutes for a tea and a cake. I'm not going to get any of that out here.
In cold, wet weather like today's, trench foot and frostbite could cost an oysterman their toes. If that stopped them working, their families would starve.
Right, does it matter which boots we wear?
Unable to afford recently invented Wellingtons, they had to waterproof cheap leather boots.
Oh, that stinks.
Oh, it's warm.
With a mixture of tallow, linseed oil and tar.
It's a bit disgusting.
I don't have much faith in this tar, by the way.
I do.
I imagine this is going to work perfectly.
Slap it on.
Have I put it on too thin there?
Yes.
You got a lather.
Because it dries like thick. It's almost like rubber.
Oh, no. OK.
There we go.
Come on, you buggers. Ooh. I don't think I put enough oil on them, if I'm honest, but we'll see. If I get a wet sock, I'll know.
Good luck, fellas. Give me a good day's work for a good day's money.
Mussels dredged from deeper water by the boats are dumped just off the shallow shoreline to keep them wet and fresh. They can only be reached at low tide.
Mate, you got to move quick, haven't you? I'm going under.
So Keith, Jermaine and Chris have just 4 hours to rake up 5 sacks worth of mussels before the tide rises too high.
Oh, my goodness me.
But first, they need to get there.
I'm not looking forward to it at all. I'd rather be at home on the PlayStation, obviously. In a blanket, hugging a radiator, eating junk food. But I'm not. I'm here, and I'm going to try and not cry my eyes out.
It's 1885, and the time crashers are Victorian oystermen and their wives. It's just 5 degrees centigrade, and it's raining.
Keep it going. Watch for that tide.
There are only 7 hours left for them to fulfill an order that requires 5 bags of mussels, 2 baskets of seaweed,
Oystermen, follow me. I'll show you the way.
and a shed load of oysters to send up to London.
This is an oyster pit, gentlemen.
Lovely.
All right, I'll be back later.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck, and don't forget, a good day's work for a good day's money.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Actor Charlie Condu and Olympic long jumper Greg Rutherford need 400 oysters. If there aren't enough in this pit, they'll have to go out in a fishing smack and dredge up more.
It's 15.
So we're doing how many?
We need 400, so just keep an eye on how many you got. 2, 4, 6, 8, 28.
Charlie and Greg are collecting oysters from the oyster pits. The boats haul in 1 catch a day, and any surplus are put in the oyster pits, so there's plenty ready when new orders come in.
28, 29, 30, 31, 30,
65.
The pits keep the oysters fresh, and they stay alive on the long journey up to the market until finally they end up on the diners' plates. It's the same today, isn't it? If you eat fresh oysters, they're still alive.
There aren't any more on this side, and I can't get round. Boots are stuck.
Just a bit of mud. That's 100 there.
Lovely jubbly.
I'm always very, very keen when somebody turns around and says we need to get something done and it needs to be done in a certain amount of time, that I make sure it's done and I give everything I possibly can to get it done. I've already gone for 100. How close are you to your 100?
I'm 48, but I'm trying to get to that side to
Right,
get some
okay.
more, but I can't get my feet up.
Yeah, I'll give you a hand, but...
No, that's a bad idea. I don't think I could do this every day. I mean, it's so hard. It's so physical.
It's coming up then.
No, it's not. That's my boot coming out of the boot.
Bugger.
It's tough.
Money was so tight, oystermen often fished for herring in what little spare time they had.
You all will need a piece of Hessian sack.
Their wives prepared them and sold them door to door and to local businesses to make extra cash.
I have a fishmonger's order for a local company. We've got a bucket of herrings. We need 100 of those.
Presenter Fern Britton, breakfast news anchor Louise Minchin and Hollywood actress Kirstie Alley are about to learn the true art of a fishwife.
We're going to make a cut down the back to make a typical kipper.
And it's a real stinker.
Run the knife along the back of the fish, then push the knife back along over the bone all the way down to the belly in one action. You then pull it open like so.
You know, when you hear bones crunching, and innately you just sort of back off.
When somebody gives me a cooked fish, I find it difficult to bone it and eat it. So never in my life before have I gutted a fish. At the beginning, it made me feel a bit yuck.
Scoop the gills away with the belly. And then you need the gut bucket.
And it's all fine. It's totally fine. I just got to think we've got to do 100 and then just get on with it.
It should now look like that.
Mine doesn't look so pretty. I've screwed mine up a bit.
You need to practice.
Yes.
I heard we were going to the beach. I nearly broke my flip-flops.
On the shoreline, Jermaine, Keith and Chris are getting stuck into the mussel raking.
Get out there if you have to, fellas. Get out there in that water.
They've got just half the mussels they need, and there's only an hour left before the tide rises too high to retrieve them.
Really, really tired. I've only got to do it for a day, but it's still absolutely horrendous.
Mussels stick to the riverbed like glue, which makes raking them up absolutely backbreaking.
Tell you what, I'm boiling.
Yeah, I think you can see how heavy it is. It's seriously heavy. This is good, honest, hard work, this. I mean, it's tough, really, really tough.
The men are wearing heavy woolen sweaters called ganses. They had a distinct knitted pattern on them that would relate to the fisherman's community or family. If a man drowned, his body could be identified by the pattern on the gansey. But they had their dangers too. In the days before life jackets, the heavy woolen sweater could absorb the water and drag him under. And in the desperate rush to make quotas or face poverty, drowning was all too common.
It smells so bad. What is that smell?
It's just mud.
Nose is running. Fingers are freezing cold. It's not a good job, like, is it, Keith?
You'll always get a weak link somewhere. And Chris is not so good as the others. He doesn't seem to put maybe as much effort in as the others have. And maybe Chris is the weak link.
Would these blokes do this day in, day out?
Yeah.
Every day?
Yeah, for their lives, some of them.
For their full lives?
For their lives.
I think my bloomers are falling down.
My skirt's so heavy.
I know. Why are they wearing these things?
Downstream, Zoe and Meg have nearly finished collecting seaweed to protect the delicate oysters on their journey up to London.
This corset is chopping me in half.
Is it? I know, I don't know how they worked.
Why on earth did everyone in history wear skirts to do physical jobs?
I don't know.
Like,
skirts, I don't really get it at all.
Were they high?
Yeah.
Because, God forbid, men should have to wear anything uncomfortable.
Fishwives would have had little time for Victorian modesty. They'd have simply tucked their skirts into their bloomers and got on with it.
How are we doing?
I think we've got pretty much 2 buckets.
Right, let's go back.
Despite being wet and cold and covered in mud, I'm happier. At least it's light.
Might be light for you.
Tough as it is for Meg and Zoe, the other fishwives are also finding it hard going.
I hear the sound of that rip. It's pretty gruesome.
Once they've gutted the herring, it'll take 4 hours to preserve and flavour them.
The blood oozes and the eyes pop.
So to sell to local fishmongers today, the women need to have gutted 100 fish by midday.
How are you doing, ladies?
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 29.
And it's already 11 a.m.
That one's good. That's a really bad one. Look at this. It looks like the dog's chewed it. You've got to do these better. Right, ladies, we need to really crack on, please. I'll be back shortly to see how you're doing.
Thank you.
Greg and Charlie have emptied the oyster pit. The question is, have they got enough good oysters to send to market?
There's a lot of open ones here, you know.
An open oyster is a dead oyster. Definitely not for eating.
Is that dead?
Let me see. Yeah, it's dead. Anything that's not completely sealed has got to be chucked. We need to get 400 oysters, and I would say probably about half of them are open. So we've got to chuck them away, and we can't use those because they're no good.
Right, chaps, how did we get on? What was the count?
280 overall.
280 exactly.
We're about half short.
We're well short. We need another 120.
Yes.
They'll have to go out on a boat and trawl for the extra oysters.
Right, we can't go yet. The tide needs to be up a little bit more. The boat needs more draft because at the moment the tide is too low to trawl.
It's frustrating because we've got a lot to do and we're waiting for the tide, so we actually can't do anything. And that's really difficult because we have to get everything in by 5 o'clock this afternoon, and there's a good chance that we won't get it done.
While Greg and Charlie want the tide to rise enough to go out on the boat...
Right, 2 more and we're home.
Chris, Keith and Jermaine are willing it back as they struggle to gather 5 sacks of mussels from the rising water.
Jermaine! Jermaine! I'm stuck!
What's he doing?
Only him.
Yeah. Just walk through it.
I can't do it with both buckets, that's the only thing, mate.
Put your rake through the buckets.
Like a donkey. That's it. Look
There
at
you
that.
go.
Now put your head in between them.
You won't be able to lift it.
Put your head through the middle.
God, this is a nightmare. Oh, you're hopeless, man.
Looks like I live here now.
The time crashers are working in dismal conditions for a Victorian fishery. They're trying to meet a big seafood order that will be collected at 5 o'clock. Meg and Zoe have been collecting seaweed to pack the oysters.
Zoe was amazing today. She was all up, she was excited because she called it a Victorian workout. Mr. Barton? Oh. She wasn't in a kitchen, she wasn't a scullery maid, she wasn't gutting dead animals. It was everything that she enjoyed today.
You've done marvellous.
She's strong, she's an Olympic
Well
weightlifter.
done, you've done marvellous.
I'm losing a skirt in the process.
The mussel rakers are totally worn out, but they think they've got the job done with enough mussels to fill the order.
How are we getting on, guys?
Good, sir.
Look at our mussels, as you can see, look. Some of them are open. They're no good. We need to get another couple of buckets of mussels, so 2 good volunteers.
I'll go down.
Yes?
I'll carry him again.
Good lads.
Okay.
I had a volunteer, but I've literally just got back.
So what's 2 more, does he?
Yeah, 2. Which is fine. I mean...
Take no time, right?
getting me and you on it is absolutely perfect because we'll get it done.
Quicker, yeah.
Without Chris tap dancing. Oh, there's water in my boots. It's about doing work and not looking like you're doing work. There's a world of difference.
When I first met the boys, I said to them, this is a team job. Everybody had to pull their weight.
Okay.
I'm afraid to say Chris is not giving me 100%. And to make our deadline, which is 5 o'clock, I need all of them to give me 100%.
The men are struggling, and in the herring shed, Fern, Kirsty and Louise are gutting the last few fish for smoking.
Doesn't it feel good when you do one right?
Oh. Right, we've got to hurry along now because we're very close. It's only about a few minutes to 12 now.
Their work must satisfy the foreman's wife, or they'll have to start over.
Right. A big improvement. Girls, you've done very well. Practice makes perfect.
Yes.
Right, we need to clear down the table and we need the brine.
Soaking the fish in salt water lightly cures and preserves them.
Press them under. That's good. And then what we will do is getting them onto the hooks, ready to go into the smoker.
Smoking the fish would turn it into kippers, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and kippers are very much a Victorian invention. They're a herring which has been lightly smoked just a few hours. Before the railways could take coastal food to the cities quickly, you would have had to smoke them for 10 days. They'd have come out with this amazing red colour and a really strong smell. And actually, they used to use them at fox hunts. They would drag the fish across the ground to lay a false trail for the hounds, which is where you get the phrase, a red herring from.
Now, you need to be very careful how you do these. You're going to hook the herring with the skin side close to the actual rod itself. So we need to get them on there.
These are the tenters. Wow.
Hang
What
on
are they called?
tenter hooks.
Are they?
Yeah. Those are really sharp. Please be careful.
1885, although women aren't being paid, there is a kind of lovely communal atmosphere.
Ready?
Thank you, Kirsty.
We have this sort of sense of fellowship with our lady folk. We know where we are. We just get bloody stuck in and do this.
Fantastic. May I take this? We've got the fishes! We've got the fishes!
To give the kippers their distinctive flavour,
Take a deep breath in, don't breathe in too much.
they're smoked for 4 hours over burning wood embers.
Next one up, push them towards the back.
When they're ready, the kippers would have been sold to local fishmongers and the profits split between the women.
You need to make sure that the door is really firmly shut.
What time is it?
I'm starving as well.
But with 5 hungry men to feed, women's work is never done.
The lunch actually is in that bucket over there. It is the roes from the fish that we prepared this morning. Right, these are the hard roe. That's the female eggs, so we're going to use those. And that is the male milt. Absolutely delicious.
Milt is fish sperm.
And very nutritious, so very good for us.
In a Victorian fishery, nothing would go to waste. And the reproductive organs of fish offered oystermen a nutritious source of protein.
All right, let's do it.
Even if it's not the most attractive food in the world.
They keep saying that this bucket of fish insides is really delicious. It's fish insides. It is the insides of fish.
It's going to be delicious.
They keep saying it.
I just looked at the thing and I just thought, I've got no choice here. Took it over, threw some butter in, threw some salt in and started cooking the roe up.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's all right, that roe. It's nice, isn't it? It's the nicest meal we've had.
Is that good?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Wife.
great.
We are gonna have a happy
I've
time
had to
together.
handle fish and cook it for the first time.
Done well. Done really well.
Yeah, this food is really good.
It's really tasty.
No, I'm vegetarian, so, you know, not the thing I would choose to do, but the men were starving and everyone loved it.
It's really tasty.
Their stomachs may be full, but their order isn't. They're still short of 120 oysters.
Time to get on the boat.
With just 4 hours to go and the tide rising, Jermaine and Greg volunteer to go out on a boat and dredge for more.
We've only got 120 oysters left to get. It'd be so nice to complete a challenge, and it's not a mad rush.
Pull a bit harder, come on.
I'd like it not to be so much that we're completely panicking, sweat dripping everywhere, and not running around like a headless chicken. Oh, thank you, sir.
It wasn't just hard work on the boats, was it? It was dangerous.
Yeah, oystermen are at the total mercy of the weather. A sudden storm blows up and the small boats can sink. I mean, oystermen drowned. And it's a total devastation for a family to lose its breadwinner. So fishing communities pay into a widow's fund. So if a woman loses her husband, she's still supported.
Right then, hold up. That's right, kid up. Keep going. Put some muscle in it.
The boats go dredging on a rising tide just before high water, when the current isn't too fast.
Boss, get out of the way.
The dredge is thrown in and drags along the riverbed, gathering up oysters as the boat drifts.
Let's get it up. Come on.
A full dredge can weigh up to 30 kilos, a load even an Olympian would find challenging to lift.
Hey!
Whoa, this is a big one.
Ooh. The oyster beds they're working were so precious they were often guarded round the clock. Anyone caught stealing from them could face prison.
Oh, there's a few dirty great ones in there, mate. I reckon we've got about 40,000 crabs.
Look at this bad boy here. Ah! Got me.
If we were going crab fishing, we would have been absolutely on it by now.
You're gonna have to work hard to keep warm in here.
On shore, the men have their work cut out. Every single oyster and mussel needs cleaning.
All right, it's 10 to 2, so that gives us just under 3 hours to get all this done. Which seems like a lot of time, but there's a lot here to do.
Sitting doing this is going to seem a lot longer than 3 hours.
But with Greg and Jermaine fishing, they're 2 men down.
No, I don't think we're going to achieve our goal this afternoon. You must be joking. We'll be here for 10 years cleaning those.
Fortunately for the men, as their wives have completed their order, they can rely on their assistance.
I understand that hands may help.
Though they wouldn't have got paid for helping.
It's great. Get yourself a stool.
Now, these are the oysters.
Yep.
They've got to be lovely and clean.
Destined for the dinner tables of the rich, presentation of the oysters was paramount.
No, what you do there is scraping the barnacles off.
Oh, they're so sharp.
Don't want those hands too coarse, my precious love.
Oh, it's too late, darling.
The mud on your forehead looks excellent as well.
Does it? I think all my vanity issues I had have gone completely now.
Keep going, I know it's tedious. Clock's ticking. Remember that cart we're pulling in here at 5 o'clock?
Yeah, here we go.
Half a mile downriver, Jermaine and Greg think they've nearly got the 120 oysters they need. But a fisheries law introduced in 1877 will make their job much harder.
Now, remember, we've got to get the right size ones, lads. Have you got the oyster rings?
Oyster rings just here, Skip.
These hoops were designed to make sure oyster stocks didn't fall any lower.
Well, if they fall through the ring, they're too small.
Oh, what?
Juvenile oysters, small enough to pass through the ring, had to be thrown back so they could continue to grow and reproduce.
We got 53 of the big ones, and then
14 right on the edge.
14 on the edge.
It's not on the edge, it's either falls through the ring or doesn't fall through the ring. No, chuck it over.
We've had to throw, like, at least 40 back in.
Yeah, that is the
being,
problem.
like, a couple of centimetres too small.
There's an old saying, only eat oysters when there's an R in the month. In other words, don't eat them May, June, July and August. This isn't just because of the likelihood that oysters will be more poisonous in the summer, but also because by 1885 you weren't allowed to dredge oysters during the summer because that's when they breed and you want to protect the stocks.
How many have you got, lads, now?
Skip, we're on 64. That's 65. So we're just over halfway now.
All right.
It's hard. It is really, really hard work.
We've got just over half an hour.
Let's get it up.
Hey! Good work.
Right, get the dredge back in as soon as you can.
Cut! Oh, it's heavy, don't it?
Don't know, mate. Looks a bit light to me.
Is that one dead one? I think we got 82. Ah, for crying out loud.
They're still 38 oysters short.
Skip, am I going to throw out, sir?
Yeah, go on.
Over the last 3 hours,
That's right, Greg, get in.
they've pulled up the dredge more than 100 times.
Cut! I'm absolutely knackered. As it always happens, I get a horrendously hard job again. I got volunteered to go in the boat. I am broken. My body is now broken.
Anyone says anything to me when I go back in there, I'm going to save a lump of this.
Yeah, I think so. Good
I'm
idea.
just going to slap it in someone's face. That's what's going to happen.
At most, Greg and Jermaine have got just 4 more attempts before the tide gets too high and they have to abandon dredging for good.
Right, let's go, my friend. Let's get these in.
Ouch.
The time crashers have endured 8 hours of brutal labour working as Victorian fishermen and fishwives.
God, and we thought fish gutting was a bitch.
They've just an hour left to clean and pack a huge order of seafood for market.
If you can do 100 each.
Put them in my lap. Put them in my lap.
At the beginning, it seemed like there were loads of ruined mussels and loads of empty shells, but actually, now that we're working our way through it, they all seem to be fine. I think we're very nearly there, you know.
It's good work.
But they still don't have enough oysters to fill the order. If oystermen didn't complete an order, their pay would be docked.
You need another 120.
Greg and Jermaine are still out dredging for the remaining 120 oysters. But with only 40 minutes until the deadline, the foreman has another plan.
Right, gentlemen. I cannot see hide nor hair of the other two. They're not in sight, nowhere in the river. So now I need 2 men who are fit, strong, to row out to the smack here.
The foreman's hoping one of the other fishing boats might have enough extra oysters to meet their order. One of the ways the Victorian authorities tried to protect the stock was by putting a cap on the number of oysters that could be caught. So oystermen were only allowed to bring in between 200 and 500 oysters a day. And that limited amount of work was known as the stint, which is an expression we still use today. Boats were happy to pass on to other oystermen anything they caught over their stint.
Can women do it?
Can I go?
Oh, Zoe!
Zoe! Go on, Zoe!
Zoe's a weightlifter. She can do it.
Ladies can't come. Your wives cannot come, gentlemen.
I'll go. I'll do it.
It needs 2 men.
In 1885, it would have been unheard of for women to go out on boats. The work was considered far too dangerous.
Even though it's against the rules, maybe Zoe should go out.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Because she's probably the strongest one here.
I can do stuff.
Yes! Sorry.
For most of these eras, I've thought I should have been a boy. I'm all about the physical side of stuff.
Let's do it.
In theory, it's an easy 100-metre row out to the nearby fishing smack.
Get right at the front.
Okay.
It's not even about strength at the moment.
No, I think it's just
about
technique, really.
It's a chance for Chris to show what he's made of.
Hell, man. Oh, I nearly threw it away there.
Do you want me to have a go? Or...
Do you want to have a go?
Oh, yeah.
No,
Skirts are
Careful. How are we getting on? How does it look? Oars keep jumping out of it. It's impossible to row.
Turn the boat that way. Push it out. That's it. Right, in the boat. In you get.
Let me turn
No, we're facing the wrong way.
Start now.
Oh, hold on. Please.
Oh, it's so cold! Oh my God, my bike!
Okay. Take my hand. Take my hand.
It's so cold, it's so cold. Oh.
Hello.
Hi.
How'd it go?
We sunk the boat.
You sunk the boat?
Yeah.
Are you dripping wet?
Oh my God.
You are kidding me.
I'm literally saturated. I'm soaked through. It's all at me back. You know when you put your foot in an ice bucket and it hurts? That's how cold my feet are now. They're actually hurting.
Now we're absolutely dependent on the other two for the 120 oysters. You failed, unfortunately.
Massively failed, yes, apologies. Really didn't want to let you down, Mr. Barton.
Well,
you have.
We were going to be the heroes of the hour, and we ended up just like class clowns. It pretty much, at this point, is now down to the boys.
We got 20 minutes. I don't think we're going to make it.
So we're up against it.
We're waiting for the oysters.
But there's somebody rowing very frantically. Is that Jermaine that's standing up? And that's Greg.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks, Skip.
My husband, you got the oysters! Well done!
I'll tell you what, it's been hard work.
Just leave him here.
Yeah.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, did we manage to get the other 120 oysters?
Yes, we did.
Well done. Right, the cart will be here in 8 minutes. Make sure everything is packed, okay? Off we go.
They're running out of time.
The order must be packed to go up to London.
Can you get that on top of there?
First the mussels,
560.
They don't need to be to the top because we have to put seaweed on top of that.
and then, to indulge rich Victorians' love affair with luxury,
Oysters, and you lay them on the round side down.
the prized oysters.
And then you cover a layer with seaweed, and then you do the next layer.
Full sacks here, seaweeded up.
Great.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Yeah.
Oysters, mussels, done.
How about that?
Look, 2 minutes to go. Oh, yes. Get in, everybody. Well done.
2 minutes to spare and we did it.
That is amazing.
It was pissing down with rain, it was cold, it was windy. A lot of good people would have thrown the towel in.
God, that was a great day's graft.
That was brilliant, wasn't
I
it?
really enjoyed that.
They stuck at it, but they come back with my oysters. We fulfilled what we were supposed to do, and it was terrific. Right, ladies and gentlemen, you've done so well. There's a special dish that you're all going to get tonight. It's called fish and chips. And I'd like you to pass that round and have a swig of that.
I thought the girls were fantastic, up to your arms in brine and fish guts, so well done.
Thank you so much.
Fish and chips!
Forget it.
Here we go.
Fish and chips were widely consumed in late Victorian Britain due to the expansion of steam-driven deep-sea trawling, which flooded the market with white fish.
The fish is awesome and hot.
That tastes good, doesn't it?
As the most popular dish of the working classes in the 1880s, it's a fitting treat for the time crashers.
We've understood how hard it is.
You know what I like most, Keith? I'll be honest with you, just the lack of that tediousness that we've been through in other eras, of just the constant bowing.
Yeah.
Being bossed
We
about.
didn't have to bow down, and they didn't treat us like slaves.
It's been the best day ever.
Being a fisherman's wife in 1885, it felt more independent. It felt that we weren't being kept as servants, and it felt like a great sense of camaraderie with all of us together for the first time.
When these people were working as a community for a common fund of money, it must have been amazing. You know, a real sense of achievement and satisfaction.
How many of us today would swap with the posh bastards who are going to get all this tonight?
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
This is the life.
1885, I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I am wet in my boots and right up to my knees. I am muddy, I stink of fish. And that thing that we're all looking for has happened in me. I'm happy. Today I'm happy.
It's been a wonderful day with a bag of fish and chips.
Yeah, me too.
And a hip flask of whiskey.
Yeah, perfect.
But ironically, fish and chips was helping to kill off the traditional shellfish trade.
Just make yourselves comfortable.
The plentiful supply of white fish meant demand for shellfish dropped even more.
Are we smiling in this?
No, they've never smiled in Victorian times.
The exposure's going to be 20 seconds. If everybody could be nice and still.
Many centuries-old trades were being lost to industrialisation.
Very good. Young man on the end, could you move slightly more in? That's fine.
So the Victorians were keen to use the latest advances in photography to capture these moments in history.
And thank you.
And preserve them forever. The love affair with the luxury oyster didn't last. By 1885, London had thousands of miles of underground sewers which were pumping human waste out of the city but straight into the sea. And oysters weren't purified like they are today, so they absorbed horrible microbes which led to outbreaks of typhoid. It was the final death knell for the British Victorian oyster industry. Next time, the Time Crashers land in Iron Age Britain.
Oh my goodness me.
Oh, wow.
We've gone back.
Where even the simplest task will push them to their limits.
It's useless. Oh my gosh, watch out, because you've opened the stomach, I think.
I just want to get some food, mate. That's my concern.
And for one Time Crasher, it's all too much.
She was by the fire and now she's gone.
Gone?
No, she would not go. She's no way.